Hey everyone, it's Kimberly. I've been holding onto this story for a while now, and I think it's finally time to share it. I never thought I would find myself in a situation like this, and I still can't believe how it all unfolded. Grab a snack, because this is going to get intense. I live in a small neighborhood on the outskirts of town, where everyone knows each other, at least, that's what I thought. Picture tree-lined streets, manicured lawns, and the kind of friendly wave you exchange with your neighbor as you bring in your groceries. My house is a cozy little two-story with a white picket fence that I had painted myself. It's just me and my rescue dog, Max, who is the most loyal companion I could ever ask for. When it comes to my world, there are a few key players. There's Sarah, my best friend since childhood. We've been through everything together, from awkward teenage crushes to the challenges of adulting. Then there's Mr. Thompson, the elderly gentleman who lives next door. He's like a grandfather to me. And of course, there's Jake, my charming but infuriating neighbor across the street, gorgeous in a boy next door way, but often too cocky for his own good. But the person who changed everything, that would be the package thief. I never got his name, but I will never forget the way he stole my trust and everything that came with it. It all started when I discovered that several of the neighbors were missing packages from their porches. We joked about it, thinking it was just a prank or a temporary nuisance. But when I found out that my precious delivery, a brand new camera I had saved for months to buy, had been taken, that's when everything shifted. I remember standing there, staring at the empty space where my package should have been, my heart pounding with disbelief. I felt violated. I felt angry. I felt a burning need for justice that bubbled up within me, and that's where my story truly begins. As I dug deeper into the mystery of the package thief, I soon found out that getting my stuff back wouldn't be enough. I wanted him to know how it felt to be on the receiving end of betrayal, to have something precious stripped away without warning. So, buckle in, because this is the tale of how I turned my heartbreak into it wasn't just the camera that was taken, it was a piece of me, a reflection of my hard work and the joy that came with finally owning something I truly wanted. I had spent countless hours researching, saving every penny from my grocery budget, cutting back on weekend outings with Sarah, and skipping out on the latest trendy coffee shop just to afford that camera. When I finally placed the order, I had imagined the photos I would take, capturing Max's goofy expressions, the flowering trees in spring, and all the moments that made this little neighborhood feel like home. The day it was scheduled to arrive was supposed to be a milestone. I had even set aside time to unbox it with a glass of wine, feeling like I was finally stepping into a world of my own. So when I checked the tracking app that morning, my excitement turned to dread as I realized it had been marked delivered. I hurried to the porch, my heart racing, only to find that empty space mocking me. I searched everywhere, convinced I had just overlooked it. I even asked Mr. Thompson if he had seen a package lying around. But no one had. After posting about the theft in our neighborhood group chat, it became painfully clear that I wasn't the only victim. Sarah had lost a beautiful sweater she was supposed to wear for an upcoming wedding. Another neighbor had his son's birthday gift stolen, a shiny new drone. The anger started brewing. It was like a poison spreading through our little community. But the worst part was discovering that the thief didn't just come and go under the cover of night. No, he was living among us. Just days after my package was stolen, I saw him casually strolling past my house, a smug look plastered on his face as he glanced at the empty porch. It was then that I recognized him, a friend of a friend, someone I had even exchanged pleasantries with at the last neighborhood barbecue. My stomach churned at the thought. This was someone who I had trusted, someone who had shared laughs and food with neighbors like me, and yet here he was, betraying that trust with every step he took. The more I thought about it, the more the betrayal twisted my insides. I felt like a fool for ever believing that we were all looking out for each other. It was as if the very foundation of my community, built on trust and familiarity, had crumbled beneath me. I began to obsess over what I would do, how I could make him feel the way I felt, exposed and vulnerable. It was more than just anger, it was a deep ache in my chest that refused to go away. I felt like I was spiraling down a rabbit hole, my thoughts consumed by visions of retribution. This guy had no idea what he had set in motion. I started gathering evidence, not in the legal sense but in a more personal and twisted way. I found myself lurking out on my porch at odd hours, hoping to spot him again. I took to social media, combing through his posts, trying to glean any information that would help me understand his life. It was like I was a detective in a movie, except the plot was getting darker by the day. I learned he had a history of petty crimes, little things that made his character more predictable, but also more infuriating. Then came the day I saw him again. This time, he was walking with a group of friends, laughing, as if the world was his playground. I watched him from my window, my heart racing with a mixture of fury and despair. He was wearing that ridiculous beanie he loved so much, and I remember thinking that it made him look even more insufferable. And that's when it hit me, the realization that he was living his life without a care while I was stuck in this whirlwind of resentment. But it didn't stop there. The sense of violation morphed into a paranoia that consumed every waking moment. I started asking myself if he would one day come back. What if he targeted my house again? Or worse, what if he decided to escalate his antics? I had always been a relatively private person, but now I was constantly peeking through the blinds, studying the street for any sign of him. Each shadow cast by the trees felt like a potential threat. Then one night it happened. I was up late, scrolling through social media, when I saw him post a photo of himself holding a brand new camera, the same kind I had lost. My heart dropped as I read the caption, "Just got this sweet rig. Can't wait to shoot some amazing pics." I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. My camera. My dream stolen and flaunted in front of my face like a trophy. That was the moment everything changed. I started plotting the ultimate plan. It was no longer just about getting my camera back, it was about delivering a message. I wanted him to feel the weight of his actions, to understand that what he had done wasn't a mere theft, it was a betrayal of the community he pretended to be part of. I wanted him to know that I wouldn't be a passive victim any longer. I was ready to fight back. As I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, an idea began to blossom in my mind. I thought of all the times we had shared a laugh over some shared community event, of how we had been in close proximity, completely unaware of the dark side of his character. It would be poetic, almost fulfilling, to show him the consequences of his actions, not just in a physical way, but emotionally too. I remembered how our neighborhood had a tradition of community potlucks every month. Everyone was always encouraged to bring a dish, and it was a good way to bond, to maintain that facade of kindness. But this time, I would turn that tradition on its head. I would make it an event he would never forget. I started planning my dish, a delectable chocolate cake with a surprise ingredient. An ingredient that would definitely ruin someone's appetite: laxatives. I had done my research, it would be hard to detect and wouldn't cause any permanent damage, just an embarrassing night he would remember. It was a sickening thought, but I was filled with a rush of exhilaration. I could almost visualize his face as he took a bite and grimaced, realizing he had bitten off more than he could chew, just like I had when he stole from me. The night of the potluck arrived, and I was a whirlwind of nerves and excitement. I dressed carefully, making sure I looked the part of the friendly neighbor, ready to serve my chocolate cake like it was the pièce de résistance of the evening. I pretended everything was fine, laughing with Sarah and Mr. Thompson as they praised my baking skills. But inside, I was a storm, every laugh a reminder of the calm before the chaos I was about to unleash. When he finally arrived, I felt the energy in the room shift. He entered with that same carefree demeanor, flashing smiles at people who had no idea of his true nature. I could feel the anger bubbling beneath my surface, but I kept it in check as I casually approached him, my heart racing. I had carefully crafted my plan, and now it was time to set it in motion. With each step toward him, I felt a mix of triumph and trepidation. The potluck was buzzing with laughter and the clinking of forks, but for me, the world had narrowed down to just him. I approached casually, my smile in place, determined to keep my composure as I offered him a slice of my chocolate cake. "Hey, Jake. You have to try this. I made it special for the potluck," I said, my voice steady despite the chaos brewing inside me. He flashed that infuriatingly charming smile, and for a brief moment, I felt the same foolish trust I once had. But that fleeting sentiment dissipated quickly as he took the slice from my hands, completely oblivious to what awaited him. As the evening progressed, I made sure to keep my distance while still keeping an eye on him. I chatted with other neighbors, feigning casual interest in their lives while my mind was racing with anticipation. I could see him enjoying the cake, and each laugh he let out made my heart pound. Was he suspicious? Did he suspect me? I needed to stay calm. I reminded myself that this was just a small price he had to pay for his betrayal. I had no intention of ruining his life, but I wanted him to feel a fraction of what I had felt when he took my camera. About 30 minutes in, I noticed him grabbing a drink from the table, his eyes wide as he spoke with a friend about how amazing the cake tasted. That's when I felt the first wave of satisfaction course through me. He genuinely thought he was safe, that he could waltz through our neighborhood with impunity. But I wasn't done yet. A few minutes later, I saw him pause mid-conversation, his expression shifting from jovial to confused. He placed a hand on his stomach, and I could feel a grin creeping onto my face. That was it, the moment I had been waiting for. "Everything okay, Jake?" I called out, feigning concern as I approached. "You don't look so good." I could feel Sarah's eyes on me, and I shot her a warning glance, silently pleading her to play along. I think I need to step outside for a minute," he stammered, clutching his abdomen. As he made his way toward the door, I felt a surge of adrenaline rush through me. This was it, the moment I had been waiting for. Jake stumbled outside, and I followed, my heart pounding in my chest. I could already hear the murmurs of the other guests, the concerned whispers echoing through the air. "Is he okay? What happened?" But I was focused on him, my package thief, my betrayer, now on the brink of his own reckoning. As I stepped onto the porch, I caught a glimpse of him leaning against the railing, his face pale and drenched in sweat. His charming facade was cracking, and in that instant, I couldn't help but feel a wave of satisfaction mixed with a tinge of guilt. I had wanted him to feel vulnerable, and now he was. I had to remind myself, though, that this was all part of the plan, to make him understand the weight of his actions. "Jake, are you sure you're all right?" I asked, my voice dripping with faux concern. "You really seem to love that cake." He let out a groan, doubling over slightly, and I could barely contain my excitement. "I don't know what's happening. I just feel awful." He looked at me, his eyes wide and almost desperate. "Did you put something in that cake?" "Oh, come on," I said with a feigned laugh, stepping closer. "It's just a chocolate cake. I promise you, it's delicious. I wouldn't do anything to hurt you." I relished the irony in my words. Because I wasn't hurting him physically, not really, instead, I was delivering justice, and it felt intoxicating. He leaned back against the railing, clutching his stomach tighter. I could see him struggling, the realization dawning on his face that he had underestimated me. This was the moment I had been waiting for, a taste of poetic justice. Suddenly, he bolted toward the front yard, and I followed closely behind, my heart racing, the thrill of the chase invigorating me. As he stumbled into the grass, he lost his balance, falling to his knees. I couldn't help but let out a small, triumphant gasp. It felt surreal, almost cinematic. A cliché moment in a movie where the villain finally gets what he deserves. Around us, more neighbors had started to notice, their heads turning in confusion and concern. The laughter and chatter from inside the potluck faded into an eerie silence as neighbors began to witness Jake's embarrassing downfall. I stood there, a mix of exhilaration and guilt coursing through my veins while I watched him writhe on the lawn, desperately trying to regain his composure. It wasn't just my heart that felt heavy in that moment, it was the weight of what I had orchestrated, the consequences of my thirst for revenge. Jake's friends rushed over, concern etched on their faces, as they helped him up and led him away from the scene. I could hear snippets of their conversation, murmurs of "what's wrong? And did he eat something off?" That made my stomach churn. Was this really worth it? I thought about my friends, my community, the very people I had wanted to protect. And yet here I was, standing on the sidelines of my own chaos. The night continued without me. I retreated into the shadows of my porch, heart racing but still unsettled. The thrill of my plan had dissipated, replaced with the stark reality of what I had done. I watched as people gathered around Jake, their expressions torn between concern and amusement. Was I the villain in this story? Had I crossed a line that should have remained untouched? The laughter had returned inside the house, but it felt hollow to me now. I was no longer part of the joyful community event. Instead, I felt like a ghost, haunting the very place I had called home. A few of the neighbors came over, eyeing me with uncertainty, perhaps starting to piece together that I was at the heart of Jake's sudden affliction. In the days that followed, the story of Jake's misadventure became the neighborhood gossip. My guilt morphed into shame as I realized how much I wanted to fade into the background. The initial thrill of revenge had paled in comparison to the reality of my actions. As I watched people tiptoe around me, their eyes filled with pity and disdain, I couldn't help but reflect on what I had sacrificed, my integrity and my place in this tight-knit community. Sarah was the first to confront me. We were sitting on my porch one afternoon, her face soft with sympathy but her words sharp. "Kim, what were you thinking? Did he really deserve that? Didn't he?" I shot back, the anger flaring up again.